And
It's
I
true.
think
I've
it's
seen
more of
that.
a clarification that we need to understand before we get to that point in the agenda. Has to do with the public hearing on the landscaping and buffering and fencing regulations, and then the new council business. This will be the only thing we're going to be voting on today, other than the consent agenda.
We gonna vote on that?
On the new council business?
Well, this
The landscaping buffering.
Well, that's why I've asked
Jeff?
Jeff and Bill to kind of inform us and get us up to speed on what's going on here. So, where did Jeff go?
Did you like to just deposit that
Wandered
check?
off.
I got it.
Really?
Rolled through it and I got a ton.
Bill, do you want to give us kind of a rundown on, Jeff, can you give us a rundown on the landscaping ordinance? There's been a lot of questions on what it is we're talking about. What's that?
You wouldn't kick me out. No. The rundown is that these are the changes prompted by the conservation element that we updated. And so most of the influences to commercial and multifamily properties, because the city doesn't really have too much say over what private property owners can do, most of the changes to single family housing are written as recommendations and what we would like to see, but those are a little bit harder to enforce. We have incorporated a tree, what was it called? We don't like these trees list.
Preferred trees,
That.
preferred tree list.
Well, no, the
Unpreferred.
opposite, like do not
Unpreferred
plant these.
trees.
Unpreferred trees. Just because there's so many and it was a little bit easier to say what we don't want versus what we would prefer. So it's easier that way because there's always new tree species somehow being invented or picked out or supplied by nurseries. So we thought this way it's a little bit easier just to tell people what we would prefer not to see. One significant update is the removal of trees and, well, not trees, but turf from park strips. I think with passing this, we should be able to enter into the state's sod reimbursement program.
Is that
I
for
can follow up?
public, the single family as well?
Yeah, so any property owner can remove sod, and I think it's $1.50 or something per square foot that they take out, up to, I don't know if there's a limitation, I need to go look up, but once this passes, I was gonna call the Utah Water, Yell something, anyway, and get Tremont registered, and we can start advertising that. So,
Number C, when I read that backwards, I'm taking it as park strips are. Am I reading it backwards?
I don't know, it should read that
On the,
turf is not allowed in park strips under 8 feet wide.
okay, but I'm just reading no, you have to have some irrigation, you can't have just basically no rocks or whatever, I don't understand.
No, you can have rocks and mulch and shrubbery.
It's C on single and twin homes.
Go up. Landscape plan. Prohibited. That's the word. Keep going up. It's a single family.
Even,
No,
I mean,
landscape.
really,
Okay, keep going down.
it's the
Commercial. I think single family's next.
1.8 point
Required buffer width. I think we've
629.
gone too far.
I just
Since
read
I've
it
looked at
different,
this.
so.
Required land. Go up. Go up.
Where's my glass? Let me see your glasses.
Oh, sorry.
I think we're in single family now. C. Required landscaping and park
Those are
strips.
reading glasses.
I know. That's
Is it
what
this C, required landscaping and park strips, front yards, side yards? That might be multifamily. I don't know, single family.
that what you're talking
Are
about?
visible
Mark?
from the street, shall only comprise of live plant materials with automated irrigation systems. Xeriscape may only be used in backyards that are not visible from the street. Water conserving designs are to be encouraged.
One
Shall
correction.
be comprised of live plants. I mean, I have rocks in mine and the water bills are so high, you can't, we don't want to water pumps.
You're not supposed to water the rocks.
No, we don't, but
Well, we're not on the minutes.
kind of jumping into, I don't agree with that at all.
On the it's not Zeroscape, it's Xeriscape. So that's with.
Yeah, so Xeriscape has the plant material. Xeriscape is just straight rocks with no
There's
vegetation.
actually a Zeroscape terminology. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, fair enough.
So
did I read
required
that wrong is what I'm
landscaping
saying.
in the park strips, front yards and side yards that are visible from the street shall be comprised of live plant materials with an, okay.
With
Xeriscape may also be used in, so I can't use it on the park strip?
That's the way
Xeriscape?
I read it.
That's what it says right there. Xeriscape may only be used in backyards that are not visible from the street.
And I think we want to encourage Xeriscape in the park strips, don't we?
Right.
Yeah, well, or if you're gonna have vegetation just through drip systems and
I
not
agree
through
with that, but
spraying.
I think we need, that doesn't, you see what I mean? That doesn't
Yeah.
define I can use rocks on my park
It
strip.
looked like that, like I would be uncompliant.
Yeah. So we would need to make that change.
Okay.
So Jeff, this chapter 1.18 landscaping, buffering, fencing, we have it.
Yeah,
So it would really be good to see what the changes are. And so that
oh, that'd be a lot of red lines in this one, but okay. It'd be most of it.
it'd be nice to know what we're approving, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, do we need to,
This one
I'd
honestly
like
would
to
be,
see it before we do too, and
this one would be quite a bit. But it is something we can do going forward. Yeah, I don't even know if there's anything original left in this chapter, minus the fact of just what it's covering.
and I don't know, why can't they have artificial turf in their park strip? Why, what? Because if we gotta
concern
dig
was-
it up for a water leak?
Our concern with the artificial turf was people maintaining it properly and how that would be impacted with the snow and rocks and everything that end up in park strips naturally through
It gets to
the
be
winter.
problematic. You gotta go out and vacuum it. It's super hot and it looks pretty, but it
I
doesn't.
can show you a house that it's gorgeous at. Their whole yard, front and back, is in turf.
Any
And
chance
it
it's
looks
in St.
great. It
George?
goes out there and blows it once a week and washes it once a year.
what is the at least 50% living plant? I agree that we need it, but you know, my mother-in-law's water bill, she got on secondary and it was still $200 a month forever. So she just shut it off. I mean, they can't afford that. So you better have less stuff you water, in my opinion, if you can.
The amount of water that like plants need compared to grass, if they're being drip systems, quite different.
Right, but why are we dictating that they have to have 50%? Why can't they just have a whole front yard rock? That's what I'm saying.
I think there's less regulation for single
Well,
family.
and that's the reason it says it's recommended, that we as a city can't really enforce too much of how you do your own.
They want to turn their whole front yard
family
into,
lot. I mean, we've got better control and jurisdiction over multifamily and commercial. Single family, I mean, except for the park strip, if you wanna, we'd prefer if you didn't have turf, but if you wanna take care of artificial turf, you can. I don't personally think it's gonna look good that long with the amount of temperature difference we have through the year here, but that's why most of the single family stuff's written as recommendations, because we don't really have governing power over them.
so the single family, these are all recommendations. And there's some encouragement if we
Yeah.
qualify for that.
C is required. So C is wrote wrong.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, we can change that one because it should be recommended. But we also can't go back and retroactively tell people now that we've passed this landscape ordinance to go tear out your yards.
Oh, I agree. But
So
I think,
what we can do is tell them the state's willing to help them reimburse tearing out their yards.
So changing that to
Recommended.
recommended, yeah.
Yeah, that, and they changed it, so xeriscape may also be used in the park strips and the backyards.
I think we gotta be careful of what we start saying what we do. I mean, we're still,
Well, you know what, you can giggle all you want, but I've talked about putting turf in my front yard. And it'll be me that's responsible for it. It's gonna look better than not gonna look as good as my grass does now, but it's gonna look way better than my neighbor's lawn, so how can you tell me I can't do that in my yard?
Well, that's what we're trying to say.
Recommend it,
Recommend
but
it.
not require me not to.
if you get it from the football field and there's a 20-yard line going through, and then it might
Where it came from.
You see that I'm gonna tell you now that until I see what it was and exactly what. is on there,
I agree with you.
I can't.
I'd like to see
because
the red
I gotta
lines
see,
put-
and I went through it, but even I didn't pick up on a couple of them things.
Yeah, my personal concern with the turf is if you share, like say your neighbor has sod or living grass, that's a real tough edge to keep,
But that's between me and my neighbor, not us guys up here.
Yeah.
Just my thought.
No, and I wasn't
I
saying.
can't
that
make
it's-
them water and make it look good. They can't say nothing about me watering mine and looking good either. And
Yeah, and that's why
Oh.
this section's very much recommendations and
I like the recommendation, but not
Not the required.
not permitted. So, but anyway.
Okay, so
Keep working on it.
I think we have a pretty good idea where we're going on this. When we get to that point, we can go ahead still with the public hearing, and then the decision, you guys will have to figure out what you want to do.
And we can make changes to it, just put that in your motion. If you want to change the language from required to recommended, that's perfectly acceptable at this point as well. So
Okay.
however you guys want that to go.
Me too.
Okay. All right, well, let's take a break here for a few minutes, and then we'll start right at 7 o'clock.
No, I agree.
Got it.
I want to see. I have to do.
Why don't we go ahead and get started? We'd like to welcome everybody out this evening to our policy session of our Tremont City Council. We'd like to especially welcome you students. We're grateful that you're here, excited that you're here. And we'll be recognizing you guys in just a little bit. What I've done is I've asked our council member Lyle Vance if he'd open with a prayer, and we'll turn the time over to Lyle.
Our Father in heaven, we come before thee this time at the opening of this public city council meeting. We're grateful to be here in this capacity. We're grateful to live in this country that we live in, to have the freedom to talk about those things that are pertinent in our community and be able to make choices to do what needs to happen. We ask that thy spirit might be with us here tonight, that we might be civil, that we'll listen open-mindedly to all sides of the situations, that good decisions can be made for the community. We're grateful to live in this community amongst great people, and we're grateful unto thee for all thy many blessings. We ask these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I've asked Blair Westergaard if he'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everybody, stand and say the pledge with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Lyle and Blair. I'd just like to quickly go, we have a lot of you young people, a lot of new people here this evening. I'd like to sort of go around and introduce our employees and our council members. Over here to my left, we have our city manager, Bill Kobabe. And then up here on the dais, we have over here Jeff Holt, Councilmember Jeff Holt, Councilmember Blair Westergaard, Councilmember Lyle Vance, myself, Councilmember Brett Rohde, and Councilmember Wes Eastep. And then over here to my right, we have our recorder, Cynthia Nelson. And Cynthia Nesson is back here in the audience.
Lindsay Nesson.
Did I say Lindsay? Sorry, I knew that. I just say things, they come out different sometimes when I think. Then we have our planners, Jeff Seedall, and Dustin, our Cordova is our police chief, but I didn't see.
I see Skylar's out there probably
Oh, Skylar's
representing.
out there, okay. Skylar Gailey in the back. And then our fire chief, Brady Hanson, is also in the back. And Sarah Mormon is our Main Street manager. And like I said, we are really grateful. We welcome you students with us here this evening, and we're grateful that you're with us. And your parents, we're grateful that they're with us too. Council, we have item number 3, declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts with the agenda this evening? I'll have do we have a, let's see, are there any conflicts? No conflicts, okay. Approval of the agenda,
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
motion by Wes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff Holt. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes for September 17th of 2024. How are we doing there? Did you have a chance to go through those minutes and review them?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Motion by Jeff Holt to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Blair. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have, we're going to recognize a couple of our employees. If we could have Rusty Bingham, if he's here. Rusty, are you here?
Yep. Oh,
There he is.
Chief Cordova is here too.
Okay, well, good.
Go ahead, my man.
You have to sing, Rusty.
Okay, so I get the, privilege to talk about Rusty tonight. So Rusty's been with Tremont Police Department for about 5 years. Has over 12 years of law enforcement service down in Riverdale before here. Rusty answered all the questions, but some things that stand out to me about Rusty is he is the parent that's into his kids more than anyone I know. Loves his kids, puts them first. I admire that about him. He talks about what is your dream vacation spot. He says, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. So I'm assuming it's somewhere he wants to go hunting. So, and then, well, what places have you lived? He's lived in Utah and in Argentina. And then his current assignment is detectives with our police department. And he's excelling at that and doing great. So I just want to thank him for his service.
Thanks, Rusty. Okay. Nicole Foljam, are you here? There you are, Nicole. Hey, Dustin.
Hey, Nicole. Thanks for coming. All right. Nicole Foljam has also been with Tremont City for 5 years. She is a crossing guard, important position for all our kids that go to school. You're down on 6 South. So she crosses for McKinley Elementary. Few things about Nicole. She loves Hawaii. That's her dream vacation spot. Thing she likes most about her job is the people that she works with. And you love country music? Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Cool. So we just want to thank her for her service as well and all that she does for us.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rusty and Nicole. Okay, let's see. Now we have the special time. This is our favorite time to be able to recognize you students. This started a couple of years ago, and the whole idea behind this is we have 3 schools in Tremont, McKinley, North Park, and Alice C. Harris. And we wanted to pay special tribute to the young boys and girls, the students who are showing.
Superintendent here,
Oh, we've got the superintendent.
the assistant superintendent.
Oh, yeah, there you are. Heidi, she made it back. And our school board member. We wanted to recognize you for your citizenship, specifically for your ways that you've shown respect for your teachers and for the other students in your classes, that you're responsible, that you follow through with what you promise you're going to do, and that you're safe, and that that's very, very important to us all, that we learned those 3 skills: to be responsible, to be respectful of each other, and to be safe. What we're going to do is we're going to give you all a certificate plus a little, some goodies here, or a certificate for some goodies, and we'll do that right now. I'll just call you up, and what we'll ask you to do is just come around behind me here, or in front of me right here, and we'll get your picture when we're done.
Mayor, do you want principals?
Yes.
Do you want to have her come up too? Or she's the
Yes,
assistant
Heidi,
superintendent?
yep. Heidi and Connie, do you want to come up as well?
Mayor, would it be possible for us to introduce the new principals
Yes, absolutely.
right now?
You bet.
We have three principals tonight with us that we need to recognize and welcome to Tremonton. So Heidi Jo West is here on my right, and she is Assistant Superintendent over Elementary Education. And so I want to introduce her first, because she's our special guest. And Heidi Jo, do you want to introduce your principals?
Yeah, so we have Jerry Jackman, who's now at Harris Intermediate, and we really appreciate Jerry and all that he's doing at the intermediate school. He comes with a lot of years of experience that the intermediate school is benefiting from. And one thing that I'd like to share about Jerry is he was our alternative high school principal over the last few years, and the things that he did at that school were just amazing. He made such good growth and improvement in our graduation rates and in the programs that were offered to students that I just know that we're going to see really great things happen at the intermediate school too, and we're really fortunate to have him up here on the north end. So this is Jerry Jackman. We have Ryan Green, who is new at North Park Elementary. He comes with a wealth of experience in special education. He was formerly a school psychologist, and he was a director for the deafblind schools. And we really appreciate Ryan leading out at North Park Elementary. And our next principal was Bennett McKinley for a year, Jacob Halls. And previous to that, he was an assistant principal at the high school. And it's kind of funny to walk through McKinley and have teachers that used to be students of Jake's, but anyway. So that's fun. We're really grateful for these three principals and for them being willing to work with the Tremonton City Council in recognizing students for positive citizenship, because one of the things that becomes most problematic and difficult for teachers is difficult behaviors. And so we appreciate this Tremonton City Council recognizing positive behaviors and good citizenship and promoting that within our community and partnering with the schools to make this happen every month. And we really appreciate you as families teaching your kids all of the good things, because we can't teach them everything that they need to know at school. So thank you so much for being involved and supportive of education and making sure that you're raising great humans.
All right. I'm going to call your name, and you come up here and stand by your principal. All right. And we've got a little something here for you also. So, Kaisley Eaton. Here you go, Kaisley. Elnora Jensen. Corbin Vance. Tanner Dixon. Delilah Hanson. Hiram Earl. Tyler Jones. Anthony Genovese. Anthony, there you are. Zoe Saldivar. Charlie Fan. Berkeley Call. There you go. Lincoln Martinez. Jameson Neal. There you go. And Nicholas Chernus.
Now, did we miss anybody, Mayor? We've done that once.
Did we miss anyone? Okay,
Oh.
I'm going to stand back here.
We'll give you all plenty of time to take pictures, so.
Smile big.
Keep on smiling.
Congratulations.
Good job, you guys.
Do they cookie things? Are they the twisted sugar? Oh, they are ice cream ones. They must have got different because when I bought some, they was big gift cards.
A lot of them don't understand, and then they start looking, yeah, I guess what everybody else is going on.
It goes quick.
You're welcome to stay, by the way. You really want to.
It sounds so interesting. I can't wait.
I was watching you two to make sure you didn't sneak out with the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, and she was like, it's fine. I'm like, somebody's gonna step on it. That's Cynthia. She skips it all. I'm like,
Too bad we don't have a daycare next door so the kids could just go while the parents stay. It's like,
Okay, let's continue on here. Our next item is public comments. This is your opportunity to address the city council regarding your concerns or ideas. We're asking you to keep your comments to within 3 minutes, and the time is now yours.
my name is Jamie Poppleton. I live here in Tremonton. On my way to meeting tonight, I realized something very significant that I think and hope council would take into consideration. There were almost 2 wrecks right at Main Street at the Four Corners by Domino's. If the trees are gone, there is going to be nothing to block the sun from 5 until dark. Coming around the corner at 6:30, you could see nothing until the sun went behind the trees on the south side of the road. If all the trees are gone, who knows what'll happen? It's just a thought. It happened tonight, scared the crap out of me, and I just wanted to let somebody know. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Okay, public comment period is over. New council business, I'm sorry, public hearing. We are going to open a public hearing to consider amending chapter 1.18 landscaping, buffering, and fencing regulations. The public comment period is now open. Okay, no public, there's no comments, so I'll close the public hearing. New council business. Council, item A, discussion and possible action on adopting ordinance number 24-10, amending chapter 1.18 of the landscaping, buffering, and fencing regulations. Council, do we have any comments or discussion?
I'd like to make a motion, we table this and do a little bit more reading into it and have a little bit more presented to us on what changes have been made versus, what, old and new language for those that have some concerns over that.
Okay, we have a motion by Brett to table the, item A. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, yeah.
Seconded by, Lyle and Wes both. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I think you got the gist, right? That we kind of wanted to see what was there.
Yeah. Bring it next time, we'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Sure. That's what planning commission
So,
tells me.
Brett, where you're with the planning committee, can you work with Jeff a little bit on that?
I doubt it.
I can't work with him. All right. Yes, you can.
I personally think there's a lot there, and I think that there'll be more comment if we don't see what the changes were.
Okay. All right. I think sounds like a good decision, to give us a little more time to work through it. Okay, the consent agenda, the adoption of the August warrant register and the adoption of the August financial statements. Council, do we have any comments or questions about the consent agenda? I'll entertain a motion then.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, adoption of the warrant register and the financials.
Motion by Lyle Vance. Do we have a second? Second by Blair. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thanks. Let's see, calendar items. We can review the calendar. We only had a couple of things. We've got the farmer's market coming up. On Saturday, on a giant pumpkin contest at the farmer's market. Council meeting on the 15th. Now, I have a question for the council. Election day is Tuesday, that first Tuesday in November. That is also, should be our council meeting. Do we want to, there's a fifth Tuesday in October. What is your, I think it kind of depends a little bit on what we have, but chances are we might have a full agenda. We okay with a meeting on the 29th, or should we just pack it all into the
Can we
third
decide on the
Tuesday?
15th? Can we come back and give us a foresight on the 15th, what we would, if we would need one on the 29th?
Yeah, I think
Anything like tonight's agenda.
Probably that's all it's gonna be.
Yeah, I'd rather see us just cancel the meeting and
just do the
unless
one,
there's something,
do the one meeting in November? Okay,
We already left it off our annual meeting.
that's,
Yeah.
okay. Is that okay with everybody to do that?
Everybody.
so it's not canceled, and it's just not on there anyway,
It was
so.
still post
yeah.
notice that it was canceled, but yeah, it's not even on our,
On the first November meeting, yeah,
yeah, we only have one meeting scheduled for November because of election day.
okay. All right. And then trick or treat on Main on the 25th. could use all the help we can get. There's a lot of kids. If you would like to help on that date, that would be super. Are there any other calendar items, council, that we need to bring forward? Okay. All right. Let's see, any unfinished action items that we need to discuss? Bill or Jeff? Lindsay? Okay, reports and comments. City administration reports. Bill?
Nothing really to report. Again, just tickled to death to be here. Jeff and I are going to be out of town next week at a conference. Jeff a lot. Next week specifically, though, we're going to be at a planning conference down in Provo, learning the latest and greatest on land use and trying to stay abreast of those changes. And one item, I got appointed to the Trust Advisory Committee earlier today. Steve Hansen with the trust asked me to help serve on that committee, and so that'll be a good opportunity to continue to learn and network and do all those good things that are available there. So I'll keep you posted if there's anything interesting that comes out of that.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's pretty cool. DRC committee meeting, anything to report there with the DRC?
No, no, DRC's kind of slowed down with winter approaching. We are looking to kind of having a staff meeting with the DRC group to kind of plan through some of the growth we're anticipating and try to get some planning figured out for the winter for Chris to work on. Paul's quite busy with training, so I was gonna do it tomorrow morning, but Paul's been getting some trainings done, so we're gonna postpone it till later.
Okay, any questions for Jeff?
No DRC tomorrow.
Okay, that's the word.
No, but do appreciate all that you're doing. It's been very proactive and we appreciate it, even though we may stall you up once in a while.
It's fine.
You're
I
doing a
mean,
great
this
job.
process definitely moves the speed of something very slow.
Snail.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, the one, it's not DRC related, but I've organized a meeting with three significant parties in this area about trying to plan for a indoor hockey rink to come to Tremont. With the council's kind of approval and backing, I was going to discuss having it on our 20 acres there along 2000 West. My rough estimate is that with the size we've kind of talked about, that we'd need about 5 to 6 acres for its fully operational blueprint. But I don't know what the council would think of using that area for a hockey rink that could be part of our Parks and Rec department.
Like an indoor hockey rink?
Our hope would be about 1,000 seats, which would make it about the size of the Eccles Arena over in North Logan. But we would do a few things to add some extra amenities in there just to have the space for it to grow out a little bit better than Eccles can right now. With the new high school there, it kind of got boxed in.
Jeff's doing a really good job of finding a lot of donations and money to help finance most of this. So it's pretty phenomenal what he's done.
Jeff and I talked about this earlier, and it's looking like it would take maybe only 5 acres, include with the building
Parking.
and the parking and other things. And so we'd still have the lion's share of the land left over for whatever uses we need. But this could be a potential good thing for the city.
Maybe it would be, if you can come back maybe with some ideas and whatnot, I think that would be great.
Ideas of what?
Well, just about.
Would it be
what-
multi-use for other things?
That was my question.
Yeah, so the main rink would be an Olympic-sized rink. That's what the NHL has moved to allow for more flexibility as the Olympics have looked for winter spots. So we'd have an Olympic-sized rink is the main idea, and then compared to the Eccles, we would try to put a half-sized rink that would fit just on one end of it, so that you could allow for either like smaller league hockey and stuff. One of my better friends grew up playing hockey in Provo and has kind of given me some insight to some struggles of hockey rinks, like splitting hockey rinks up for pee-wee hockey. And so the idea of having a smaller but to-scale rink for younger youth to learn how to skate on and to play and kind of get the fundamentals of the game down he thinks it would be a huge addition to it. So the other change too would be trying to add a mezzanine. Isn't as well for office spaces, and try to get those above something else, whether it's storage or something, just so we don't have to use a horizontal, the square footage for every bit of office space, but you try to condense where the storage is with some maybe office space above it. So the other portion is they're pretty common, is to get special padding that goes down over the ice rink so that it can be used for other entities. And that's what the Staples Center and a lot of these multi-sport professional arenas end up doing when you've got overlap between the NBA and the NHL. And it allows them to use that space pretty back and forth. So the idea would be hockey rink is the main thing, but then it would allow us to maybe have a spot where you could hold conventions or other venues of types. So if you talk to a few of the optimists, they think it'll be filled with hockey and skating, and that the ice will be filled every day, every minute the doors open, which I can share that optimism with the limited amount of ice north of Salt Lake. I think there's only one per county, and for Davis, Weber, and Cache. So there's a huge demand with the NHL coming in and the Olympics just down the road. I think hockey could be something huge for the city.
Very good. Thanks, Jeff.
This property is just, they're next to the.
On
freeway.
2000 West,
Okay.
yeah, that we were looking at, yeah.
So would the council approve taking a chunk of it for the hockey rink?
Well, I think that's why I think if you come back with a presentation so we can actually see something, get some ideas.
I think we need to move forward with the idea.
Oh, I think so too. I
That's
don't
all
know
I'm
about
looking
the.
for is I don't want to go into a meeting
Yeah.
next week and say, hey, everyone's good with it if the council isn't. If not, then we, can work with other landowners about trying to find us place. But with the view and the general accessibility on 2000 West off the interstate from both 84 and 15, I think it's a prime spot for marketing and for accessibility for people coming in from out of town to use it.
I think if it's an attractive building that I can't think of, that's a great use for pieces of that property, in my opinion.
Are you okay with sending them forward with at least to find out more?
What's the cost? How much is it gonna cost to maintain and
Well, that's what part of
all them kind of things?
that's the point of the meeting next week is trying to get a price tag on a building. We've invited Nucor as one of the people to come and spec out the amenities in there and kind of what their price per square footage would be. And from there, we'll know kind of what our ballpark is to get it up and going. And then from there, we can start looking into the details of operational costs. But right now, we're just at the very preliminary stages of trying to see what it would cost to get it up.
One of the things that Jeff has done really well, and the mayor alluded to this, was to try to find, and Brett also, was to try to find folks that will help invest in the facility so that the city's not on the hook for the whole thing. And that's a positive thing. People are excited about it. People are excited about helping to contribute. And however that looks and whatever that looks like, it's a good question. We don't know exactly what the programming of the site would be. So, if it's the building itself, we measured out at What do we measure? I don't,
I think our guess was like 400 by 200 because the
it's
rink
not as
was-
big as you might think. It's not,
the Olympic rink was 200 long by 100 wide,
yeah.
and so the seating and stuff, I figure another 100 feet. So 200-ish would be pretty comfortable, and then 400 because it was 200, and then 50 for the half scale. So that would give you another 150 feet for fluff.
You're looking
so-
at about 10,000 square feet under roof ballpark. And if you're at $100 a square foot, again, that's just a ballpark. Obviously, a skating rink's going to be expensive, but it really is just a big empty space. Other than that,
One of the few you want to keep cold, so heating bills normally aren't very high. You ever been in the Eccles one? You wear a coat.
it's chilly.
So the city biggest contribution to start would be the
Would be the land, yeah.
Do the land. And if we can get the land and Nucor helps with the building, our hope is that the cost gets down quite low. And that'll give funding for the other two parties to go out and start finding how to make that pencil and work for them. But as part of the agreement to build it on, I would say that it gets to be used for our parks and recreation during the week and can be programmed for tournaments and whatever other uses on the weekend.
You'd be looking for a Zamboni to go along with that?
You know, we've actually that's been the most popular spot to fill, so we could probably get it on a rotational thing, but you're now the third person to ask about a Zamboni driver, so, but maybe we need one per rink, and we'll just switch
Rotate
them
back
out.
around.
It's quite a
We'll
position
raffle
that's
off
in more
opportunities
demand.
to drive the Zamboni.
Cost is one of the main reasons I asked that.
They're expensive. Everything's expensive. So we obviously are in the very formative stages of this thing, and Jeff only brings it up so that when we get in front of these other folks, we feel like we've got a little bit of buy-in from the council. Ultimately, will be your decision. We'll look at an agreement. We'll look at whatever comes. You guys will have the ultimate final say on whether or not we proceed, and however that looks as far as costs and sharing and everything else. So we're going to try to skew that heavily in our favor, of course.
I'd like to see something go out on that land. I really would.
I'm a yay for the land. I don't know about what it all costs, but
Yeah. But we don't have any money for anything else, so
then we'll have a future site with a big poster.
that's it. There you go.
We'll just put up a fence and some coming signs and see what a Venmo raises.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Jeff. Let's see. Dustin, I think you have you've got a presentation you want to talk to us a little bit about.
All right. So we actually are approaching a time where we need to update our body cameras. This is required by law. I sent the council a memo, but essentially we're having problems with our former body cameras breaking. I think we sent, was it 4 this month? Yeah, so what we're finding is we're having these break, and then we have to send them back to the company. Sometimes they can fix them, send them back, and oftentimes they have to destroy them to extract the evidence. Just a little background on that. Every time we go on a call, Utah law requires us to record that interaction. Every time we do a traffic stop. 2 main issues. One, storage space. It adds up quickly because there's a lot of police video. And currently, we're storing that on the servers here. We've filled that up every year, and then we have to buy more server space and have them come out and set that up. This would eliminate that as far as part of the bid. The other issue is I'm not sure, are we still under warranty on this? Some of them. We want to make sure whatever we have is under warranty. So we did some research. We reached out to our neighbors to see what they're using, and we got bids from the 2 most popular companies. One is Motorola, and the other one is Axon. Axon is quite a bit more expensive. And I'm not sure if you have those numbers in front of you, but I'll give you an example. So just for the body cams with the software support and the warranty, we need about 25 units. The cost is around $34,646. In contrast, if we go with Axon, which is what we currently use, their cost is about basically $105,000. as far as in-vehicle cameras, and this is more where I'd like your feedback as well. Some departments use those, some don't. I actually got a legal opinion from Dustin on that, our legal counsel, and he's a big fan of that. He basically talks about it as being an insurance policy in case we get in an accident, and how over time he'd rather have those, but they are at quite a bit of cost. Motorola is $127,135, and Axon, oh, I think we lost for a second, $238,884, so quite a bit more. And talked to the sheriff's department as well as Brigham, they've all went over to Motorola, and they've had a lot of success with that. At the very least, though, I just want to make sure we at least are complying with the law, and that would require new Motorola cameras. As far as the cost goes, in reviewing my budget, I think we could accommodate that, but I'm a big fan of under-promising and over-delivering. So I'd rather ask for your support on that. If we happen to go over budget, you would know why in advance. Or we can adjust the budget now to accommodate that. The other thing, this thing is in and out on me. The other thing to be cognizant of is we do every year apply, and we have received a grant almost every single year for body cams. The reason we need to now take on that cost is it's not enough to cover the new software. So the prior cameras we had, they're kind of out of service, and they've done an update, and the update has made it where they no longer will function on the software we're using now. So because of that, we have to adapt, and that's either upgrade through Axon for the 105 to 238,000, or else switch companies to Motorola for the 35 to 127,000.
Are you pushing a button so we don't hear all of it?
Yeah, just when I'm telling the price, it's kind of, so is that sound good? No. Any questions? I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to read the memo. That's kind of why we pitched that original solution, to try to find additional money without having to come and ask for anything. We did look at the vehicle lease. You guys did a great job asking the right questions, and you scared them away. So I don't think it's in the best interest. We have talked to Curtis about this as well. He's kind of supportive on it. I mean, Bill and him were very supportive. They understand the need. And that's where, could we find in the budget? Probably, but I'd hate for us to go over budget, because our job is unpredictable. I mean, we've had multiple call-outs this week alone, with that threats call that we were all a part of, as well as some SWAT call-outs. And we're eating up that overtime budget pretty quickly. I just want to err on the side of caution and be transparent with the council, rather than, go over budget and ask for forgiveness. So that's kind of where we're at. And then as far as whether we use a vehicle camera or not, I'll leave that to you. Some cities use them. The city I came from did not, unless they were traffic cars. A lot of cities are a big fan. I know the sheriff's office uses them, and it's for those reasons of having that additional security as far as like insurance. If we get in car accidents, it helps us prevent lawsuits. It helps us with criminal cases as well. So that's kind of where we're at. Is there any questions for me?
I've got a question, Bill. If we got that in the budget, the 104,
It's one of the questions we had for Curtis. Lindsay and I talked with the chief and with Curtis, and we really poured over the budget. We would have to massage some things and do an amendment to the budget in order to have the chief keep his existing budget intact, and we would probably rob Peter to pay chief just a little bit. But there could be some there could be some way to make this work.
with sales tax, I mean, sales tax is higher than what we were anticipating.
Sales tax is just a little bit higher. We're actually kind of leveled off there, Curtis said, so it's not coming in quite as robustly as we've seen in the past. So we're not counting on that necessarily, but there is some funding, capital equipment fund. And one of the things that Curtis talked about is we may be at the stage now where we're, because Curtis said that the police department alone accounts for about 42% of our city's budget. And a lot of that goes towards equipment, including
consumable type equipment like vehicles and jackets, not jackets, bulletproof vests and other protective gear, which just does have a life expectancy. And so that you got to rotate through those things, and they're not cheap. And so we're going to try to get all that baked into a budget going forward, so that when it's come time to renew this contract or look for cameras in the future, we're not all scrambling trying to figure out how to make it happen. It's already been baked into a long-term budget, so that when it comes up, it's just, sure, chief, go right ahead, rather than, oh, how are we going to make this work, kind of a thing.
This day and age, with all the lawsuits and everything that's going on, I'm thinking cameras on the cars and people.
We did get a recommendation from the attorney that we do the vehicles.
It would be the safest
cameras.
thing to
Yeah,
do for the
and
city.
they are expensive, but boy, what's a lawsuit worth, right? So, yeah, we're going to look at that. The chief also didn't mention, and I think wisely did not mention, that we're going to look to Garland and have them participate as well, so that some of that cost can be defrayed potentially with Garland's participation.
Could it be a proportional type of a?
Exactly.
It would be proportional.
Yeah, so the 4 cars that are paid for by Garland would get this same system, and then the officers that are supported by Garland would obviously have that as well. So we haven't talked to Garland yet, so we're not exactly sure, but we wanted to make sure, chief being chief and clever about it, is making sure we come to you guys first and get all our ducks in a row there, and then we can see what Garland can help with.
Jeff?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. I thought the report was really well done.
I appreciate that.
Justifies a need, justifies Motorola, I think, well, not only for efficiency, but effectiveness. The iCloud proposal for the storage and helping with that, I thought it was well done. I'd be very supportive. On the vehicle cams, I like the idea. I don't know if there are certain vehicles that are more in need of such versus other ones. So you could perhaps limit some of it that way, but figure out not just accidents, but gee, when you see on television an officer's making a stop and some vehicle come down the road goes wild,
Yeah.
it's great to have that video about what occurred at the time.
Yeah, and what I can tell you is we have had a couple pursuits in the last couple of years. It is nice to have the video. I think it does protect us, justify those pursuits, and like Lyle said, it's very easy to get sued in this line of work, so it could pay for itself. It's hard for us. I mean, we don't have the resources of, say, a traffic car that just focuses on traffic enforcement. Patrol all has to do that, and it'd be like predicting when the storm's going to come on which shift. So I would say, to save money, we have taken that into account. We will not be outfitting like our detective vehicles and our administrative vehicles. It would be strictly focused on patrol vehicles that are out there with the public, handling traffic enforcement. As far as the body cams, it's just it's a need. It's not necessarily a want.
Question again, so the 25, that includes Garland's people too?
Yeah, I don't know if we went through, so these are just the bids. We haven't subtracted them out, so it would be cheaper.
This would be the max that we.
Yeah.
That's the max, so, and it's the same with the 17, that includes Garland's cars too, right?
Correct. So we would figure out what that is per officer, and we'd split it up accordingly and ask for them to support that. We have a good relationship with the council so far. They've went with every suggestion we've had. I can't promise that, but I'm pretty confident we can get them on board.
I would expect with the legal requirement for the body cams too, that would also help convince them that they need to go this direction as well.
Jeff, great point, and you're absolutely right. They would absolutely have to comply with the body camera on the person, but the law does not necessarily require the vehicles. What I would say is if they didn't want to do that, that's up to them and their legal counsel, but if there's a litigation, they would have to be responsible for that. I'm sure the council's aware, but we do have 2 different budgets, and as much as we're one uniform department, we're also split. If they have a litigation issue, I assume their city will handle that, but we've been fortunate in that regard. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
So you're needing $160,000.
20% less, taking out garbage.
Yeah, give or take, sure. I believe the 127,135 is the exact number for both the body cam and vehicle. But, 161, 781.
That was the total.
That's the total for both, yeah.
I think we need to look into it. I agree with it, but I'd really like to know what we're robbing from Peter before we do it, so.
Yeah, that's something that we're continuing to work on with Curtis.
Probably the planning department.
Yeah. But anyway, it'd be nice to know where we're pulling it from before we make a decision, that's all.
Sure.
So just, if he uses his budget and goes over, then what happens? We just
We'd still have to
pick up
take,
this.
yeah,
this
we'd have to
slack.
reconcile at the end of the year, and we always would. But this, again, Chief's really clever to get it done now, so that if his budget goes over for other reasons at the end of the year, reasons that he couldn't foresee at the beginning of the year, then again, that's easier to ask forgiveness at that point than to have all of these things at the same time, and it's, $250,000 or whatever, including this, that was just unanticipated.
But
this-
isn't there a
this can-
timeline on this that we can't?
So, yeah, great question. With them going down, I don't feel comfortable waiting on at least the body cams. So with your support, I'd like to purchase that with my budget. And if we go over budget, you'd understand why. That's just so we can comply. My dilemma is if we continue to have failures on our body cams and then we have officers without body cams, not only are we violating Utah law, but we're opening ourselves up to all kinds of litigation on any call, as well as potentially losing our cases because we don't have chain of custody on that evidence. So the 34, 646, I think that's an absolute need. As far as the vehicles, I'll leave that to discretion of the council. If we're trying to save money, I completely understand. If we're more concerned about insurance, I think that's wise as well. But if it's okay with you guys, I would like to be able to purchase the body cams so that every officer has those and we're compliant with the law.
How long before you could get them, chief?
I think pretty quickly. That's a good question, but
We wasting money fixing old ones too, right?
yeah, some of them are under warranty, but a lot of them are getting destroyed, so we're not getting them back. And the turnaround on that is like 2 or 3 months. We're fortunate enough to get plenty of grants initially where we've dodged this cost to the council for the last couple of years. But the grants were intended, just like our mental health grant, to get us started, get us on our feet, and then transition into the city paying for it. We still pursue those grants and we get them almost every single time. But I think for the sake of planning, Bill was wise in suggesting that we don't count on that money, and if we get it, that's just great. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. But I think probably 2 weeks, Wes, if I had to ballpark it. They have them on hand, it's just a matter of getting paid so they can get them to us.
I would say what's been talked
I
about.
just don't know how much of the decision, I mean, it sounds like we give them a nod.
We give them a
but-
nod, yeah.
Yeah.
And we just gotta keep on what happens after that.
Yeah, so we're all on the same page. I will pause on the vehicles, move forward with the body cams, and then we will reassess the budget, and if we can afford it, we'd like to get the vehicles, but that's up to the council.
Yeah.
Do we
I
have
think-
vehicle ones now?
We do. It's kind of interesting. We have 2 different companies, and they're older. I'm not sure. How old are they?
So currently, like Chief says, we have 2 companies. We have Axon for our body cameras, and then WatchGuard, which is now Motorola for our dash cams. And they run off of an internal hard drive that's stored in each patrol vehicle. And we're having several of those hard drives fail, where we're having to buy them at several $1,000s a pop. So, some are newer than others, some are, I'm guessing, like 8, 10 years old in there, so.
Yeah.
Very much when you're old like me, that's last week.
All right. I think, and then you'll get with Garland and do the proportional part with him. Okay.
Absolutely. So to be clear, we're okay moving forward on the Motorola body cameras. We're going to pause on the other ones. Okay. So you're not going to yell at me at the end of the year when I'm like, hey, I'm over budget.
If you'll have a presentation,
Okay, that's okay. As long as it's not for this reason.
And I would suggest these guys look for that sooner than later if we figure.
Yeah, we're gonna find it. And ultimately, I think what we'll end up doing is, before we pull the trigger, we'll bring a budget amendment to you so that you're clear on everything that's happening, what we're buying, and how much everything is.
Garland's participation, all of that, so that you'll have a look and we'll bring some final numbers in front of you. We do have money in the budget we can massage and squeeze and figure out how to make work. So I do agree with the chief. I think this is an important one. And so, if he was asking for new hats, I might disagree, but this is kind of a big deal. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your support on that. Yeah, you
Yes, Skylar?
Something too, I was talking to Chief Hansen and Chief Cordova before the meeting. We do have, or if we do get the in-car cameras, we will have some old ones that still function, and we're gonna pass those over to the fire department, because Chief would actually like those on his, was it ambulance rigs? For liability reasons too, to have that dash camera going, so we'll be able to repurpose them into another, I guess.
Oh, good.
of the city, so.
Very good. Okay. Thanks,
Any other questions for me?
council.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
How
you.
about your crossing guard?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna yield to Skylar on this one.
So a couple weeks ago, we got a complaint from a concerned parent about North Park Elementary's intersection, 100 East and 700 North. I'm reporting that several kids and parents almost got hit in that intersection through the first few days of school. I went and sat up there for 3 days, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, or 3 mornings, and that intersection's ridiculous, and it needs a crossing guard. We get a lot of complaints, not a lot, we've had complaints where people say you need a crossing guard here or there, and haven't found that need, but this is a need, and I would encourage the city to let us put a crossing guard up there.
Could you come with work with Bill and come with some, so we can make a decision, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we'd be able to, so,
Yeah, so,
It's $10,000, which I think their budget could probably eat just fine in salaries and benefits, but that's up to you guys.
yeah, so
It's like $9,000 in salaries and $1,000 in benefits, if they're doing it.
But now you're over 40,000.
yeah, so it is 10 grand, like Lindsay says. I know from what the school told me, they've had some parents reach out to them, but from my understanding, I haven't been there in the afternoon, but there is a school employee that goes out and kind of helps with that in the afternoon. But I think it would be wise.
do you have it in your budget?
Chief?
Do you have that in your budget?
I mean, we can sure try. This is just one of those things where, if everything goes well, we won't go over budget. And if I float one of our open positions, we could probably make it work. But our job is unpredictable, and it's just a couple call outs, and then we're over overtime budget, and then that has to be massaged from another area in my budget, and then we end up going over. So far, we haven't, but then again, we're asking for a lot to try to absorb within the budget. So short answer, it's possible, but as we add more things, it increases the odds of us going over. Another option, and this is something we're going to do proactively, is we need to sit down with the school and discuss the cost. They do contribute some money to have SROs in the school, but I think it's 3 or 4 years old, and with cost of living and things getting more expensive, I think we need to revisit those conversations to make sure they're helping us, so we can approach it that way as well.
Well, I just, looking at what sounds like the seriousness of the situation, we probably ought to act sooner than later.
Right.
And so,
Yeah, both of these are needs. It's not like something extravagant. It's just something we have to address, and I don't know. I'll find it somewhere in the budget. If we can't make it happen on the council side, or we won't. I'm going to do the best I can to keep the kids safe. So, and I know we all want the same thing. So I'm happy to try to find it in my budget, but if I go over, these are the reasons why.
Well, yeah, I just think you work within your budget, make those decisions.
Sure.
And then when it comes time and you need help or we need to amend it, then that's when you come back and say, hey, this is where we're at. We need to amend this and move forward with it.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm here, is to start that discussion now. Again, I like to underpromise, overdeliver.
Yeah.
And hopefully at the end of the year, I'm like, hey, we made it. We did a good job, and you guys don't have to hear about it. But if I'm over, I want you to be like, okay, we talked about this and this is why. So,
I hate for you to wait for a city council meeting to make a decision on this when you have the budget, you can do it. Just make the decision,
sure.
and then that's why you're hired, is we're going to support you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And it's not that we're scared to make the decision, it's transparency with the council of what to
Yeah.
expect at the end of the year. Because part of my job is budgeting, and I want you to know we're doing the best we can within the confines of my budget, but I also always want to be transparent with the council, and that way it's not like, oh man, we're not managing the budget correctly, because these are kind of unexpected costs. And it's just part of growth. This intersection probably didn't need a crossing guard 5 years ago, and now it does. It's just part of the nature of our city, so.
Doing good. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that.
School's gonna go away in a little while.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't get the memo, so.
Along the same lines, though,
Yeah,
if we really look at the root of the problem,
sure.
I was in a city in Oregon, and their laws on pedestrians they hold them very strict. And so you're coming to a road and you're even getting close to crossing and all the cars are stopping. They're going to let you cross, and they have that kind of respect for pedestrians. We don't have that here,
Sure.
okay? And I wonder if we don't need to, I pull up to an intersection, I see a kid crossing the street, they get part way across and cars are starting to go again. Well, that's illegal. They need to wait for that pedestrian to be all the way across. I'm wondering if we don't really start going on a campaign of ticketing people that aren't following the law. Maybe we can start to develop a culture that people start to think a little bit more about the importance of our pedestrians.
Yeah, and we've done crosswalk ops and things like that. It's scary, especially if you're the walker.
One at the high school, having somebody is big time, because I went in an ambulance, lit up, and the kids still walk in front of you.
Yeah, no,
It's
they don't
like-
care. Yeah, I've had the same experience.
They ought to be smart, and the little kids won't, but
Anyway, just
I
a thought.
think it's,
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Appreciate this. And you'll keep us informed on where you're going on that then.
I think,
Yeah, I'll keep you in the loop, and we'll get with Bill and make sure.
Okay.
Before we move forward with the cars or anything. Do you want the department report now, or are we circling back?
Yeah, we might as well continue.
Mine will be pretty quick. If I have it here. We had a busy month. I just want to thank the council for the support with the bomb threat we had at Matheson. It was handled well. Everything's disposed. Cache County came out and helped us take care of that. It was professional, and I felt like we did a good job of fire, of combining our resources and make sure it was done safely. We did have a juvenile threats with a gun. We took it very seriously. We stayed out late. We served a couple warrants, and ultimately we arrested that juvenile, and he went to DT. We're still in the process of tracking down all the possible guns, and we have a lot of good intel on where they got those, so we can hopefully put a long-term solution to that down. We did our annual PT testing. Most of our officers passed, which was great. I just finished that 12-week crime analysis certification, so I'm certified to do that now, which is cool. We just hired a new investigator with experience from another department. We have a detective that is resigning and going to work for another department. It's better for him and his family, so we support him completely. Know Your Force reviews, we're doing really good. In fact, the company reached out and asked what we're doing so well out here to get the kind of feedback we're getting. Currently, we're at 90 reviews total. We have a 4.9 average rating, and 97.8% is positive. So that's kind of where we're at. Is there any questions about any stuff going on at the PD?
We appreciate all the proactiveness and dealing with the bomb threat and all the other issues that kind of came up. We had a group of them, a cluster of them there for a while, and we just appreciate your proactiveness and the swift manner that you took care of the problems.
Yeah, and
The fire department too. I mean, you guys were great.
Yeah, and me and Brady really appreciate the support. We get there, we're just trying to keep people safe and isolate the scene and deal with the threat. But we weren't thinking long-term, and the council actually helped a lot, thinking about getting people a place to go during that. Luckily, it was resolved pretty quickly, but, yeah, we appreciate that. It's a team sport.
Yeah, Breton was able to get the church opened up and everything. I mean, it was good practice run for all of us.
Yeah.
To see how that really should work.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, it never happens again.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, council.
Brady?
While we're on the previous subject, I have a few other things I'd like to consider going to the police department's budget.
That's what I was thinking. We only want one to go.
I got a handful of things I would really like to squeeze into his budget that would be really good if you would consider. All right. That's right. A couple things I wanted to make sure that you're aware of just really quickly. We've got about one more week before the RFPs, the request for proposals are due from the vendors that are going to bid for our ambulance billing. The current group that I'll be asking to participate in reviewing those proposals would be myself, Bill, Curtis, and Shari, Brett, unless the council, that's what I was putting out there in way of proposal, unless council has some other suggestions, I would certainly take all those suggestions. We have, based on the RFP that we put out, we have 2 weeks to review those proposals, and then we can ask them questions or quiz them. Those proposals should come in writing to us, and like I say, they're due in a week. And I told Curtis, I certainly need to lean on his expertise from a billing perspective on what a good billing company looks like. But we'll try to keep you apprised how that would work. And our goal, as we had stated before, our goal is to create a new company to take over that ambulance billing long before Shari retires, so that we have a good overlap. She can close out current accounts while and work alongside and kind of coach that new company to get them on board. And I'm optimistic. They've had good questions. They've sent me good questions. I've tried to get them good responses. Next thing I wanted to bring up is, this is the consolidation study that I don't know if anybody's had time to dive in. I haven't completed it yet. I'm trying to really digest it because I think I need to be up to speed on it. And there's no time frame that goes with this. It's just an idea. There's a kind of a little bit of a menu of options for all of the councils around our community to consider. But I'm trying to get really up to speed so I can answer any questions, and please reach out if you have questions.
Got it. You can download it.
Yeah, I think you could download it if you have, I can't email it. It's too big of a file. So my hope is that everybody has access to it.
Jeff sent us a link.
Jeff sent us.
We've got it.
I printed one, I had Haley print me one so that I could carry it to meetings and answer questions and kind of have my fingertips on it, but otherwise, it's about 200 pages, 100 pages if you do it double-sided.
It's only about 20% fiction, right?
Yeah, there is certainly mistakes in there, and if you know us well, you'll catch those mistakes. There's things in there that are like, oh, that's not accurate. But as I had suggested early on, I don't think that changed substantively where they were headed for a proposal.
Have
Yeah.
you talked to some of the other, how does Brigham, what are their?
I have. I've talked with Garland's chief, with Brigham City's chief, with Central Box Elder's chief, which Central Box Elder would be Honeyville, Deweyville, and Bear River City. I've talked to the county chief, who they're kind of an interested party, but they're not included. The county's not. So, and I keep saying to them every chance I get, and to my own team, no matter what the outcome of this is, we need to behave like we're one fire department. We need to share resources. We need to call on each other. We need to share our training every opportunity we can. We're trying to look for those opportunities. So, calling on each other to help on calls, those kinds of things. So, and then the rest of it is up to the elected officials to decide how funding works long-term. And that's really what ultimately this is about. It's less about operational, and it's more about how are we going to be funded 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now.
And I don't see how the county can just stay out of it.
I'm surprised.
The whole thing was, I think, the county, and this is my thing, the county, I was hoping would get told, you're not doing anything, which they're not.
Right.
And they still stayed out of it, and it's.
The elephant in the room was county and other cities riding on the backs of Tremont Fire Department and Brigham City Fire Department. And the county dodged being discussed in here for the most part. Other cities are discussed, but the county wasn't really discussed as part of what's their share of us providing ambulance service to the county. So, on that note, sorry, I intended to be brief. On that note, I've had a couple of phone calls this week, which is a little bit of a troubling trend. A couple of phone calls this week from individuals who are being dropped by their homeowners insurance for fire protection. And these are people that are outside of a 5-mile radius of Tremont Fire Station. So our ISO rating is remarkably good. We have an ISO rating of 3. That's an Insurance Services Organization rating. That's a report card for fire departments. 1 is the best score any fire department can achieve. My predecessors, Blair and Wes and Robert and those worked extremely hard to get an ISO rating of 3. I was impressed when I came here and thought, wow, they did a good job to get us that score. That directly correlates to how much you're charged for your homeowner's insurance policy. The phone calls that I received this week were both out of Elwood City, who were 5.8 miles from Station 30 and 6 miles from Station 30. And they're insurance companies across the country. And I saw this when I worked in Jackson a lot, and I'm worried it's going to be a trend here. If you're more than 5 miles, now, customer that talked to me yesterday said my insurance went to $4,000 a year. It was $1,000 a year for fire insurance. Now it's $4,000 a year because the insurance company discovered that I'm 5.8 miles away. I no longer get your ISO rating. I'll keep you abreast if I see that. That would be a troubling trend for people who live more than 5 miles from our fire station. The reason that becomes a little bit relevant is it does tie to the consolidation study, right? So if there was some form of a different view, if we, in some format, all had, we could share the ISO rating with other communities and that were within 5 miles of other fire stations, not just 5 miles of our fire station. So I talked to Jordan, who's the chief over in Best Central Box Elder, and maybe we can help them in some way, but I'll keep you abreast. Insurance companies are getting so, financially hurt by major wildland fires that they're starting to get really, really careful about who they write policies for. So next thing I want to bring up is we've been a little short on staffing. No fault of the council. We've just not able to get people hired and trained, and we're in the process now. I've hired a new part-timer this week. I've got a full-timer we made a job offer to. I think we're going to be in good shape going into fall with being fully staffed. Then the last thing I want to bring up is our new engine is, they called me and they said it's almost ready. So we should have the new engine within 2 months. I was not expecting it until maybe late winter, February, March, but it looks like it could be available December. That's fantastic news. We're working on the final steps to make sure that it's everything we ordered. The money's there in the budget to receive it. We'll have some costs to get it labeled, stickered, equipment, a few things, but we should be able to absorb that. Or if not, we'll put it in the police department's budget. So in a couple of months, we may have our new engine here ready to go, which I just wanted to plant a seed, which means we'll need to surplus an engine because we don't have room to keep the engine. So there'll be probably some discussions about surplusing where that engine would go, and Central Box Elder has already approached me and said, would you consider
Passing that on.
Yeah.
Oh, we ain't gonna pass them on.
No
We
passing
gotta
on.
put them up for bids in now,
Okay.
today's world.
And that's, I'll support you 100%. Whatever the city's policy is for that, I'll support entirely.
Give away
So,
too many times.
okay. all right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you much.
All right. Let's see. Jeff, do you have anything more for us?
Well, no one's brought it up yet, but last week there were quite a few of us that went to the Box Elder County Summit, the first annual one. There was a lot of good information. There was a lot of dense presentations, and this not dense as in just in the amount of information that was presented. Sometimes made it hard to digest them in the moment. But the story that stood out to me was how easy it was for the demolition of the old Grouse Creek School. I'd be open for your guesses, except for Jeff and Lyles, who was there, how far laterally the walls for Grouse Creek School had to be moved for the entire thing to
Just a
fall
tap
over.
and it fell down.
It was 3 inches laterally. Speaking of planning, this building and the fire station are under the same non-reinforced masonry construction as North Park Elementary and the middle school. So if you're talking about checks that would be hard to swallow, if the 8 million was the figure?
8 million purchase cost.
So I'd give that building 6 to 12 inches of lateral space before the whole thing came down, and same with this building. And that would be $8 million that would be underneath that for replacement. So as we start looking about growing and expanding, and we're already having to surplus more vehicles, the structural instability that that presentation from Grouse Creek made, kind of apparent the danger that our fire department's in under the same kind of conditions. So just some, not to scare anyone.
School would have been 50 years older than anything here.
It only moved 3 inches and the whole building fell over. So given the fact that masonry normally is 10 to 12 inches, it's not a lot further for that roof over there to fall down. So I think it's in consideration now that we are growing, and as we're having to get more equipment in there, what do we do with the fire department that is at 100% capacity? Or do you want to go above 100%?
10%.
110% capacity. Just ideas of how we want to budget for a replacement structure.
Trade them a hockey rink for it.
Done. We could maybe add that on. You just want a few bays at the end?
Okay, Sarah, do you have anything? Okay. Council reports. Jeff, do you have anything for us tonight?
Just a question. Would you provide an update to the council on the 3 ordinance amendments or repeals that I had brought up prior?
We had the discussion with the planning commission who tabled again. So
And that's one of them.
that's one of them. We can bring the other 2 if you'd like, separate of that. I was intending to bring them all to you at the same time, but if you'd like to bring them separate, we can certainly do that.
The one that they tabled was on the campaign signs, just so everybody knows. They were unsure, at least a few of them were unsure of the language, whether it was enforceable or not. So they maybe want to tweak some of the
There were some
language.
it's,
Definition of sign material.
yeah, it was a more extensive conversation. So we've got some significant changes that we're working through, and we're pretty,
line them so you know.
we're pretty close on it, though. So we should have that to you. We should have that to you soon.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Blair, do you have anything for us?
Oh, I just have one thing. Just a what for. We have the stuff that I read in Jeff's thing about that somebody's gotta do their yard within a year and all that stuff, but then we still have this building over here on Main Street that we can't tell them to put the siding on.
Something's got
That's
to,
just a, you know what I mean? We got
Yeah.
bigger fish to fry than some things, and I don't know, I guess there's not a rule that says that,
Yeah, there's no rule against having an ugly building, unfortunately.
but it's not
it's not
finished.
finished. You know,
Isn't it a fire hazard?
Well, with no wiring in it, it might actually not be a fire hazard.
Yeah, but you can't put a fire out. There's no equipment in it.
No,
It gets,
well, there's
it
no.
It's not occupied either.
that's my point. There needs to be sprinklers. It needs to be ready so that, anyway.
So what's the story behind it? Do they not have enough money to?
I honestly don't know. I guess they just ran out of money.
Custom,
Davis charged them too much or something, this is what I heard. and she
Paul
doesn't
Davis,
have the
yeah.
insurance proceeds to fix it, so. She was fighting with them, I think to start with.
It's just a what for me. It just seems like if we're trying to do Main Street, there's a blam right when you drive by it. So,
Last I heard, I think she was going after Paul Davis for not doing what they said they would do, according to her, for the amount they said, so. But that's been 8 or 9 months ago, probably, she came in.
well, there's been people that have been trying to buy it from her, and she doesn't want to sell, yeah. Well,
RFQ, did we get anybody to take up on those
We
applications?
did get a person and one person, and we'll take a long time and review that one person's submittal. And
one person.
Okay, and what about Paul's position?
that is, we got 7 applications in for that of varying degrees of qualification. So we're going to look through those and get a short list.
They're still trickling in, but
Yeah.
When does it close, Lindy, this
we
week?
always put it open till filled.
Oh.
Okay,
Brett?
I just wanted to comment as I drive out past the crossroads and see all that work going there. It reminds me of what started that. And it took some citizens to come and bring up the problems, and then we all went to the UDOT and talked to them and we got some results. So I think good things come from public comments.
Yeah.
And that's one of those good things that came from it. So.
Thank you.
I don't have nothing.
All right. As for the RFQ, like I said, we have one individual who has sent in an application, and I think we probably ought to at least move forward and see where we're at with this person. And I don't know. I'll be getting with some of you and see if we can put together a group to talk to him. We have the citywide cleanup on the 10th and 11th of this month, so that's coming up.
Big change. Big change to
10th
it.
and 11th and change.
Well, no, it's a big change. They're gonna have to come down to the
Oh, yeah, Phil's
Public
in.
Works Building,
To dump?
the dump, and they're gonna show us the Tremonton address on their driver's license, and we're gonna be there when they throw it in the dumpster.
Okay.
So we don't have all them,
Have a backhoe or something right there to.
yep, we'll load it in for them, but like, we're gonna have a metal bin but it's gonna be way better than what it was. It's gonna be different for people. It's gonna be locked up at 5 o'clock at night so that you don't get everybody leaving piles on the outside of it, so
You're gonna have them inside the fence?
gonna be inside the gate.
Oh, okay. All
From
right.
8 to 5, Thursday and Friday, then it's over.
Good, thanks. Thanks for that update. Let's see, I think I just wanted to mention the survey. It's going to be out there, probably going to be out for another 2 or 3 weeks, and couple of weeks anyway. And from what I've been able to tell, there's been quite a few people that have been responding to it, and we're excited about that. And that's really all I've got. Council, I think we have one more motion. Oh, did you have something,
I have one
Cynthia?
thing. We went to the UNCA conference last week, and it's not a big thing, but you may have noticed in your minutes, it doesn't say motion aye or nay, it's yes or no. They changed that in the law, so we do have to, and if you don't say it, we're still gonna change it in minutes, but we have to answer.
Yes or no, huh? Okay. Good. Okay, one more motion.
make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Lyle and second by Wes. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
I love it.
Oh,
How many years have you done that?
short meeting.
Said what? Aye.
You don't get it.